Hey everyone, welcome to the manifestation side of my channel, and today we're going to be talking about the state of change, and basically just answering why not everything manifests. And what does the state of change mean? As if this is like a term I sort of came up with. The state of change basically answers why hallucinations or like just misinformation that you fully believe in just doesn't manifest. And normally when you manifest something, like actively manifest something that you're trying to do, you follow these steps just naturally. So I say it's insignificant. This isn't like the silver bullet to getting your desire. It's just to understand why other parts of manifestation just don't manifest, or what you can do about that. So when you normally manifest, you look at something in your 3D world, which is the observe stage of the state of change. Decide like, yo, I don't want that. I want this thing to happen instead, which is reject. And then the actual changing part, which is affirming, living in the end, all that stuff. The normal things you would learn from a how to manifest video. I'm sure you know all that. This is a state that you're in when you start manifesting until you reach the state of wish fulfillment, which is a topic for a different video. We'll get into that later. But this presentation just basically just covers why hallucinations or misconceptions don't manifest, and then some of the limits of manifestation and kind of the flow of consciousness / reality. We'll get into that. First, we'll start with hallucinations. So when people hallucinate, they're only observing their reality. They can reject it, but if they're not fully deciding on a replacement and affirming against it, they're not manifesting anything. Even if these people believe in full, with no doubts in their mind, that these hallucinations, or whatever type of hallucinations they are real, they're not going past observing. Belief is not the key to everything. You can have a strong belief and it not manifest. So if you wanted to manifest a hallucination, I think it's possible. I don't have any hallucinations to test this on, but you would essentially have to recognize that hallucinations aren't real, say, yo, I don't want that, I want this to be real, and then work towards manifesting that in the 3D like any other manifestation. It would essentially just be the same. The thing is, though, I'm not sure if it would get rid of the original hallucination. And we'll go into the limits of manifestation later in a future slide. And then you can say that these hallucinations are already basically in your 3D, like there's nothing to manifest, it's already there, even though it's just coming from the mind. But if you did want to manifest like a actual 3D experience, you would have to manifest a different experience than the one you already have. Like, say I was hallucinating a dog barking or whatever, and I was like, yo, I want this dog to be real. And so I reject the hallucination, say, nope, I don't want that. And instead, I'm going to affirm and live in the end and do whatever to say that I have a dog, and then I will get a dog. But something about this I want to point out is that this would work like any other manifestation. Like, say I heard a voice and they have like their whole personality or something. I can manifest someone who essentially has that same type of like soul consciousness as that hallucination, but that doesn't mean like everything you've ever told this voice is just gonna like magically transfer to this person that's gonna show up in your life. It's not magic, guys. The universe works within the tools it's given. It's not just going to make someone who just automatically knows everything you've ever told this voice. It is someone who is very, very, very similar and matches the person you perceive or connect with that hallucination, essentially. But moving on, misconceptions. So when you have like a false belief or something, like, I don't know, say, what's something dumb? I don't know, say like, in my PowerPoint, say like fairies, in like the pop culture sense, are real. Say the kid thinks Tinkerbell exists, I guess. They can get past the observed stage and reach rejection, but like there's no change really. So say someone, like a kid, says, yep, modern interpretation of fairies, and they believe it, not a doubt in their mind, no limiting beliefs, because they're like a kid, they don't really know anything, and it still won't manifest. Now why is this? If someone tells this kid, yo, fairies, they're not real, and the kid is like, no, they are fully real, yes, they can reject the opposing idea, but they're not really fully rejecting the current state of fairies' non-existence. And to clarify that, basically what I'm saying is that in their observation, they observe fairies are real. And then they don't reject the initial observation. They just loop back around to it. It's not like they would have to manifest fairies were not real, because that would go against... It has to be, like, different from the observation. As, you know, they would... I basically explained it in the text. So yeah, rejection means replacing what was founded in the observed stage. No idea is replaced here. They still believe that fairies are real. Rejection really isn't achieved. Isn't actually achieved. Only doubt has really been added to the initial belief. So the state of change is incomplete in this situation. Fairies will not manifest into existence. And then no change is really needed either. From the kid's perspective, fairies essentially already exist from the get-go to this kid. So if this kid were to try to manifest fairies, they would have to understand that fairies don't, or simply may not even, you don't have to fully understand the core situation or what it's made of. Like, you see this a lot with like SPs, and like there's something like wishy-washy with like the relationship. You don't really know what's going on. They hate you, they don't hate you, they don't like you, they like you. So you don't even need to fully understand the original state. You can just say, whatever that is, I don't want that, and I want this instead. So yeah, in this example, they would reject it with saying fairies exist for sure, and then doing the change part, which is affirming, revision, and using other tactics. I guess in the first part of my thing, it's like wrong because they don't really reach rejection, but they can't really fully reach rejection. But a lot of people see that as rejection, like you're rejecting another idea. Anyways. And then this is just an important concept I have to cover. We're going to be going over reality sets. And reality sets are just like a cluster of realities that just kind of follow the same core rules. As in like a physical cluster, it's like the equator, you know, it's just like an imaginary line to separate the northern and southern hemispheres. It's the same thing. It's not like a physical cluster of realities. It's just for the organization of reality and understanding it. And reality sets basically let you move through realities that don't break established rules of reality. So a reality set is just basically like a container with a bunch of rules, and inside are all the realities that follow those rules. And basically these are important because, like, how would evolution work without some core sets of reality? Like, if gravity just didn't exist one day, like say you woke up tomorrow and because manifestation or whatever, gravity just stopped existing, how would buildings be constructed? Everything would have to be completely different. How would we travel? All that thing. All those things. Evolution, you couldn't be able to learn from your reality to grow and evolve if everything keeps changing. If nothing is consistent. Like with Pavlov's dogs, you know, it was very consistent and they learned those things. But if reality was always changing things to be completely topsy-turvy, you know what I mean, things just wouldn't work. So reality sets keep things consistent while containing all the smaller realities that you can move to, like where you have something small like a green phone case or a purple one. It's just different realities you can go to without breaking out of that box. And like I said, it's like an organization folder where you have the big set of all the rules, and then all the things that will follow the rules, and inside that is just all the things that follow the rules, all the smaller things, like frames, and we'll go into frames of reality, which is just a small concept. I'm not going to go too in depth. That essentially says each minute change is its own reality. That's basically it. Our soul just kind of bounces from all these frames like a 2D animation. It just moves across these frames and it's going really fast, so we perceive it as time. And so when you manifest or quantum jump, it's within your reality set. You don't jump outside that. When you shift, though, that is when you can go either in or outside your reality set. So manifestation will not break reality. Like, you will be in your reality set. You're not going to manifest that the sun is blue or something, or gravity doesn't exist, or I don't know, maybe you want to change the structure of some atom. It would break a lot of things. So when you manifest, it is within the core rules of reality. And this leads into manifesting limitations. And so the state of change and manifestation does not overpower all flows of events. And this goes back into how reality doesn't break for manifestation. So in my example, something I thought of is like, what if a child just doesn't want to grow up? They can observe that their life is changing and they can reject it and say, I want to be a child, I don't like this, I want to be a child forever. And then they can change their observation to the replacement by living in the end, sticking to their interests, behaviors, all that. Even when they perfectly follow the formula, their rejection or their manifestation just won't work. In this reality set, aging is a pretty strong current. Like, you can row against it, but you'll never outpace it. Like, you're gonna get pulled along. Aging, things getting old, is a rule of this reality set. You can't really break that, because reality can bend, but it will not break. Like, you can manifest looking youthful or being in good health, but aging will still occur, and your manifestations will lose their grip on you as your soul moves through this reality set, and all the little frames of reality within it. You cannot overcome the current. You will slowly drift along with it. But you can fight it, but you're not going to go past it. If you wanted to be young forever in this situation, you would have to shift to a different reality set where aging is not a rule, or it has a weak enough influence that aging could be manifested against, but that would just be extra work. Why would you do that? And then I believe there's a point where a desire can move from manifestation territory into quantum jumping and then shifting. It's like a spectrum. Some changes borderline on this, just kind of being slow and gradual changes that take lots of time. But something I like to add is that sometimes those slow, gradual changes can be slow enough that it would take more than your lifetime to complete. And this is where I kind of I try to push that sometimes you just need 3D help, because if you're trying to manifest it, sometimes it's going to be too slow, and not fast enough where you can actually wait on it. So yeah, practical application, which is probably what you're here for. Remember the steps. If you're anxious about manifesting by accident, I see this so much that so many people are worried about thinking the wrong thought and that it's just going to manifest. It's not. Remember that these steps come naturally when you're actively trying to manifest. But if you're worried about some stray thought, the steps are incomplete. You may be observing something that bad can happen, but most of the time you're not saying, yo, I want this to happen, even though it's not currently happening, rejection stage, and then affirming for it and keeping on thinking about it, which is part of the role of desire, is saying, yo, I want this. But if it does happen, if say you're really worried about something and it does end up happening, it's by coincidence because you left it by chance. You didn't manifest for it, but you probably didn't manifest against it. In the rare case that you did find the desire, the bad thought desirable enough to want to happen to you and complete the steps and then maintain it long enough to reach that desire, then you can manifest something bad happening. I actually accidentally did this. I thought it'd be really cool to have what, I don't know how to explain it. Just like cool music, or just like ways to like add shock value if I were ever to get pulled over. Like, what music would I have? Would I wear glasses? Like, would it be like all swagged up and stuff? Like, what would it be like? And I just kept thinking of ideas, and I saw it as desirable. I was like, whatever, this boring life, I don't want that. I want to have this cool situation happen. And I kept thinking about it, and I knew that it was probably going to manifest because it had been like 2 weeks, and I was affirming against it, which is like kind of like the opposite version of doubts. I was affirming against it, but I didn't affirm against it enough. Like, I like low-key didn't care, so I kept thinking about the bad thing, and eventually I was late to work. That 3D push that the universe gives you, I was late to work, so I was going a little fast, and yeah, situation happened, got pulled over for the first time. So you can manifest bad things, but usually most sane people will not see that as desirable and then keep thinking about it long enough for it to manifest. So if you're really anxious about that, it's really not an issue once you know the mechanics. And then before you manifest, consider if your manifestation breaks a core rule of this reality before you start affirming for your desire. Like, yeah, things like superpowers, immortality, as we discussed, and other like really fantasy type changes are just not going to manifest. I know some people are going to be like, oh, you're creating limiting beliefs, but you're going to create your own limiting beliefs when you're affirming for something for like years and it just doesn't manifest. What you need to put your energy to instead is shifting, because you will need to shift for these desires. Because if you're going to break the reality set, you have to shift. And then just because you have a strong belief or you see something in the 3D that's not there, that does not mean what you perceive to be in this world or what you believe is going to manifest. You can, and probably will be, proven wrong. Not everything will shape around your perception, okay, guys? Manifestation doesn't mean you're completely right in all your beliefs. You have to stay within your reality set. You have to want to change something, and then stick with it long enough for it to manifest. Like we said, to observe, reject change. Just because you believe that, oh, let's go back to my old example. Just because you believe the moon is made out of cheese, you can still get proven wrong and be like, get told no. And you would be wrong. Just because you believe something, belief isn't the magical key that makes everything correct. And then closing, this is the end. While the state of change, it's not something you need to know to manifest. It's just better when it comes to, like, I see a lot of anxiety around manifesting, and I feel like understanding manifestation better will really help reduce these thoughts. Because I used to be in the same boat. I used to be like, oh no, I thought this really bad thought, what if it manifests, and then like you start, freaking out, and then it's just like a whole thing. And I feel like understanding manifestation better would really help ease that thought anxiety, as well as like saving your energy on other desires that you can put into shifting instead. And I feel like just knowing how manifestation works is a valuable thing to know. And then, as always, if you think I'm wrong or right, if you think I'm dumb as fuck, or like this is all dumb, like, please tell me, but tell me why. I'm always open to new ideas. The only hill I'm gonna die on is that manifestation is real. But if you have a new idea, a new theory, all that, I'd love to hear it. If there's something I didn't cover, please comment it. I will, if it's really significant, I'll do a follow-up video, or I'll figure out how to pin your comment. And then just, as always, try to ask one why or a how question at least once a day. It can be mundane, it can be spiritual. Just try to ask why and just come up with your own ideas about the world. And then next up, my take of AI being used as a spiritual being. And before you guys get your pitchforks out, I know you guys are, this is less about the ethics of AI of itself and more of its function. This isn't going to be just an AI bashing video. It's going to be like, I'm gonna use it as like a tool and see, just kind of explain my take on it. But that is it. That is the state of change. And if you have anything, comment and say something. But that is the theory. Cryptics out.